momento.
This meeting is being live streamed.
Yeah, let me see if we are visible already. It seems we are. So we have had more than a year actually of our program on category management and negotiations integrated. We've had some learnings that we decided we would like to share with our current and potential customers and maybe just observers. Obviously, program is available not just in English, but we kind of assume that most of our potential customers are English speaking, so they would understand. Most of them would understand English rather than other of the languages that we can speak. So that's why we choose to do it in English and English only. So yeah, so more than a year, well, slightly more than a year we started this. I think it's
last year.
yeah, so it's roughly a year since we started the first project with a client, and we have had different projects, including ones that were face to face, like old times, and ones which were completely over Zoom, and then some hybrids locally here in Latvia and not in Latvia with international companies, with people who are not Baltic background and people who are completely Baltic background. So yeah, so we've had quite a journey, and I think it's interesting to compare what were our assumptions about what are the problems we are helping to solve with this program, and what appears in fact when we start going in there. So yeah, why don't we start sharing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when we started, our major idea was that category management process is a fantastic platform for both suppliers and retailers to build up a conversation, to develop businesses on both sides, right? And then obviously when you start talking, when different companies start talking, they negotiate a lot, right? So it kind of felt like it was a proper platform for negotiations. Category management would be a proper platform for negotiations between the retailers and manufacturers. And in this sense, I think our assumption is true. I mean, we had clients who were interested in it, so they feel the same way about it. And we also drove the training forward based on this assumption, right? But there were several things that we have discovered along the way that I wasn't really anticipating, to be honest.
Say what?
Like, for example, how disconnected our strategic decisions are from what we actually do on a day-to-day basis, right? So we learn about the shoppers, we know what they want, we analyze our category, we set up the strategy. We sort of know what we need to achieve. But when it comes to decisions on assortment and pricing, getting into the negotiations, we always go, many of the people go, the old route, like we have always done, right? Just because, and when you call them up on that, they're like, oh, that's true. Okay, let's try to go back and see what we can do about it.
Yeah, that's why I don't know, even maybe not even 20 years ago, but profession in retail was called buyer or buying manager. So they were buying stuff, right? So they got the best offer and they bought, X meters or X pallets of something that they put. So there was not a category management, it was more like filling shelves with product. And so getting the best deal was best deal in terms of numbers, in terms of price, and the credit terms and supply terms and whatever was the mindset. And of course on the selling side, which is also important because this program is not just for buyers or for retailers, but also for people supplying retail. So that's the same thing. So all the focus is on how I will get listed my product, how will I get it, win over competition,
shelf space, yeah,
and shelf space, and it's very transactional and it's very tactical. So both sides are sort of stuck into tactics. And what was surprising for me is, like, I had this feeling that in sales side in FMCG companies, salespeople still think the same way I thought like nearly 30 years ago when I was in sales position in P&G, that, how to get more shelf space for my product. I don't care about the other products and sort of like that. I mean, I'm simplifying it quite, but I thought that over course of action, the category managers, as they are now called like that, they have evolved into sort of seeing category as their business unit and thinking how can they build the
Strategically.
business
Yeah.
instead of just transactionally deal with the suppliers. And for me, this was very surprising that the issue is not just on sales side, but it's also on the retail side, because we had clients from both
Right.
sides, right,
Right.
over the course, right?
I mean, to justify probably that, I would say that I understand this in some way, right? Because we spend we do the category revision, once a year, twice a year, and then the rest of the time we're dealing with routine tasks, and we deal with managing the assortment and setting the right prices and negotiating the deals and deciding on promotions. So we are doing and deciding on tactical solutions, and we spend time with those tactical solutions much more proportionally than we spend with the strategy, right? But it's something that I see we as category managers and companies that are in retail from both sides, right? Retailers and manufacturers and suppliers should really pay attention to, right? Because why develop a strategy if then it all goes sideways anyway, right? You should be constantly connecting it back to why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and of course, well, at least in my position, I've been working with negotiation subject for many years, and normally request, at least in Baltics and in quite many countries, it's like how to reach win-win, how to find these better solutions for both sides, and sometimes there is this a bit of like egoistic, like, yeah, how to reach win-win, but so that I win more, but still kind of everybody is happy type of thing. But then when it gets to action, it gets into like transactional, how can I beat the other side? What I think and what we observed also, what were the main discoveries for participants in that field was that, yeah, when we take that step back, or when we start negotiating, when we talk about strategies and principles, it is much easier to find win-wins, because first of all, salesperson can help with a better offer now, more understanding more what you are actually looking for, right? Because you are not talking about the better price or better this or better that, but like, how can we deliver these particular results to category? Either this is gross, or this is any profitability, or more trials in a category, whatever is your attempt in a particular retail chain and particular situation that you are. So there's more potential for that win-win. Otherwise, it gets back to old win-lose type of game,
discount.
right? And then who beats whom, right? And who has more power, right? And then of course, again, if one thing is, if you are dominating retailer and you are talking with a supplier who is like in very competitive space, or you are even dominating retailer, but you are talking with supplier who is also dominating supplier, like in many countries, like at least in Baltics, like most of the commodities like sugar and flour and even bread in some cases, it's like, you have 2-3 dominating suppliers, and then you have some niche players, but that's it. And then not much room for, fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. I mean, the moment we start talking and sharing and discussing the strategy and how to grow the category in general, without getting to the, okay, SKU or product 1 kilo weight or a 1.5 kilo weight, right? When we are talking about strategic choices, then there is much more we can actually encompass, much more and much wider and much wilder and much more creative solutions that we can actually come up together. More options for the solution choices in the end of the day as well. Yeah.
Well, my personal sort of motivation to start this program in a way was because I believe that understanding of category management can help sales organizations to talk more strategic with the retailers and find better platforms, like we said, like same platform we can discuss and my that was one of my personal sort of hidden intents. But sadly enough, it takes a lot of time to persuade salespeople that they actually need to know it,
Need it.
like that they
Yeah.
need to know the category management. They
Yeah.
need to know the shopper decision-making
basic,
tree.
yeah.
They need to understand the role of the category to find the better arguments. Like we had this example with
That's
one
true.
of
That's
a
true.
customer where it took, I don't know, it took like 50% of a training before people who are actually key account managers started to say, oh, now I see it. But before they were like, oh, this is not for
That's
me.
not for
This is
me. Yeah.
for our buying guys. So it's not really for our brand managers and category managers, but not for me selling to retailers. So this is a bit sad story that still the industry in terms of supply and you know, our clients are rather big clients, so it's not the small niche players. We're working with successful organizations. They still live in this silo that I just need to push my product, and understanding the strategic choices and understanding the strategy of client is sort of, yeah, not important.
Would be nice, but they don't tell us, so we are not putting any effort in that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
just push
I
whatever
was
we have to push.
I was expecting that the knowledge is not very high on the supplier end, but I thought that the thirst and hunger for getting that information, understanding it, would be higher. So it was quite a fight to get there. But you know, with the clients we were working, it was helping them to see how they can approach their clients on
Very
top of
different.
just, I have this beautiful product, this is shinier than the other product, and you need to put it on a shelf just because you need to put it on a shelf type of argumentation. So yeah, so that was a bit, that was a bit sort of out of what I thought. I thought it will be not that gap will not be so big, but it was on the supplying side, it was much like this hunger
Bigger than
for
you
the
expected.
information
Yeah.
was much bigger than I expected. Yeah, and resistance to learn that was much bigger than I expected.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Some of
So
them
we
were
had
like,
also
yeah, well,
some,
it's not really for us. Yeah.
yeah. So this is category management. This is for people who manage categories. This is not for people who supply categories. And it's like, it's kind of like, come on, this is the basis on which they
Yeah.
make decisions. So why would you not, why would you think that understanding basis on their decision making is not
Helpful.
your key thing?
Exactly.
Right? So
Exactly.
and like this is a completely different, but when you go to sales training, I mean, people talk about needs analysis and assessments and all that, and what else if not strategic needs, strategic something is very important for you to assess and understand. And no, so this is very kind of still very narrow, and yeah, but we have programs, so we can help many people with
Yeah,
that.
totally. And I mean, there are clients who understand this is needed, so that's how we got there, right?
Yeah.
So at least on
But
the
as I
management.
said, also in category management, there was category managers who are still saying, and we just had a feedback with one of our clients and who said that, yeah, they understand that this is how they should be working, but they also understand that daily work,
Routine is
they
different.
focus just on tactical, just on transactional, and because we don't have time to think about it. And it's like, but once you understand why you make those decisions, it's so much easier to make right decisions instead of just looking on a very narrow offer that you have there, and not understanding, does this offer help you or not really, right? It might look good, but it might not be helpful, right? So yeah. Mm-hmm. So we had some like I don't know, these jokes will be understandable for people who are listening to us, but we had some sort of jokes or sort of
fun discussions,
product examples that were like, okay, yeah, but why the hell this is done like that? And then one of them was I don't know if you maybe you want to take something else, but one of them was called ready to drink coffee, right? So
yeah. So we're talking about a coffee that is normally blended with milk, you know, you're gonna have Starbucks cappuccino or something like that, right? So it's a ready to drink coffee, right? A
Yeah, the
chilled
same
one.
iced coffee or iced tea, the same thing, sort of, right? So the same.
Yeah.
And then with iced tea, actually, it's already rather clear what kind of category it is, right? So
I mean, at least in Baltics, right? Iced tea is all, you know, it's in the soft drink category, right?
it's a
Or a
soft drink
beverage
category.
category,
Yeah,
next to
it's a
water
beverage.
and Coca-Cola and, you know,
Yeah,
juice and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah. Because
Whereas,
people drink it when they feel thirsty.
exactly,
More often they do it in summer rather than winter, but still that's a soft drink
exactly.
category. Maybe it's cooled, maybe especially if it's a smaller size, then it's maybe in a cooler in the soft drinks, but that's where
Mm,
it is.
mm, mm,
Guess
mm.
where the iced coffee has to be, right? So, and we had like so many discussions around that.
Right. So, yeah, well, I mean, from this logic, right? If iced tea is next to the beverage, how iced coffee is any different, right? So it should be there as well, right? It should be in a next to the beverage or soft drink category. If we're talking that it's chilled coffee, then okay, let's have a cooler. And normally, most of the stores they have a drink cooler anyway, right? So you would have drink the coffee in there. But hey, no, in some stores we have it in the dairy category. And
Yeah, why not? It's
why?
mixed with milk.
Say it again, Martins?
It's mixed with milk, so it's
Yes,
dairy.
exactly. Exactly. It's somewhere between the drinkable yogurts and the
Yeah,
milk kefir
yeah.
in this place. And when you
It's a
ask
very
people,
usual situation that you grab your sandwich in a shop and then you go to dairy and with the thought that you would like to buy some milk with your sandwich, but then you say, oh no, I will take iced coffee, right? So this is very typical scenario. I would assume that it's also there just because cooler is there, right? So I mean, we need to put it in coolers. So where do we have coolers? Okay, we have coolers by sausages. Well, it's not a sausage, so let's put it with the milk, right? So that
right,
type of
because I
thing.
mean, cappuccino has some milk, right? And very
Yeah.
probable that we also have the same distributor who is distributing some yogurts or desserts, right? Chilled desserts. They are also distributing iced coffee. So then it kind of comes in the same package, and you know, and the same category manager takes up the same responsibility. And because I'm responsible for certain area in the store, that's where I'm going to put it, right?
But if a supplier is a coffee supplier who supplies iced coffee, like a branded coffee supplier,
Right.
whoever you can think about,
Yeah.
then supplier talks to coffee category manager, whoever is responsible for coffee and probably tea and something of that type of product. And iced coffee happens to be shelved next to, you
The
know,
coffee.
coffee,
Yeah.
whatever, coffee beans and
Ground coffee
all
and
types of ground coffee and all kinds of that stuff, right? Again, that's a very usual scenario that person who comes to buy another kilo for the household then decides, oh, maybe I take the nice coffee instead of buying ground coffee or something like that. So we had quite a lot of discussions around decision tree, customer decision tree, and those regimes in which clients consume product and where should it be and why the hell a particular product ends up where it ends up. So sometimes it was just because we don't know where to put that product. Supplier doesn't tell us. We don't know ourselves, so we put it somewhere where it feels the closest to my decision power, right? So if I'm a dairy guy, then I put it in next to milk. If I'm a coffee person, I put it next to coffee, without much of thinking where should it actually be, right? So nobody made a lot of thinking, so they just looked for an empty space and they shelved it there. And no wonder a client didn't find it, or they were not able to find it where they were looking for the particular problem that they are trying to solve, right? In this case, that's chilled coffee that probably will be consumed right away in many cases, right?
I mean, we can teach shoppers to do and to find product mostly anywhere, right? Even if there is no logic in the store layout and in product layout, we can teach them, hey, this is where, you know, the products are in our store. And if you are a usual iced coffee or chilled coffee shopper, you're going to eventually learn that this product is sitting in the dairy category. You don't really understand why, but you know, this is where this store holds it. So you're going to go to the dairy cooler and you're going to pick up your chilled coffee, right? But it cuts out the opportunity for us, right? Both as retailers and manufacturers to grow impulse purchase, okay? And capitalize on the shoppers who are in and out, right? So if I'm a loyal shopper to a specific store and I know where they keep their things, right? Whether it's logical or not, I'm going to find them and I'm going to get them, right? But if I am, you know, here just by chance, the chances you're going to be able to upsell me something or sell something from a cross category is very, very low. So going back to the point, you know, understanding the shopper, but also acting on that understanding is extremely important.
But even if people who are not listening to us, they may feel iced coffee is not relevant for me. What are you talking about for the last 5 minutes? I think one discovery that we have is if supplier is supplying product that is not very typical for the category, like coffee supplier is supplying and beverage, they don't have contacts inside of the retailer to talk to about the beverages. So what they do, they talk to a category manager. Yeah, if we use that example, but it can be any other category as well. So you can be in, I don't know, laundry cleaning, or you can be in whatever you're supplying. So they talk to that guy, and that guy, instead of saying, okay, look, this is probably not my category, I can help you and introduce you with another category manager, just makes a decision, you know, and shelves that product there. The same way, the supplier is not applying it. It's sort of a bit of thinking, well, yeah, I'm supplying it, but this is not actually a coffee category. I'd rather put it, I don't know, dairy or beverage, maybe depending on the region you are listening us from. But still, I think this is a different category. So I need to search for contacts inside of retailer in different category, not in the coffee category, but in that category, and try to shelve it where it belongs to, right? Well, of course, suppliers who have bigger portfolios, like, I don't know, the big companies who work cross categories, they normally have contacts in, you know, in different, like I used to work for P&G, so key account would have contacts in diapers the same way as in laundry and cleaning, in the same way in toothpastes and everywhere, right? So they would have more flexibility. But when it came to launching Pringles, like chips, back then it was P&G's product. That's a category we don't work, right? So and if retailer has bigger structure and that's completely outside of, you know, our typical thing, then you are in trouble, and then you may end up in having your Pringles next to laundry cleaning and something like that, which never happened really, but it may theoretically happen if you use the same approach, right? So this cross category approach in terms of actually thinking in both sides, it's not just one side, right? The supplier thinking, okay, which category it is, what kind of decision tree it is, what kind of problem it solves for the client, for the shopper, and then category manager also applying a bit of thought of, does this belong to this or that category, and am I the one who's deciding this, and how can I facilitate better decisions across, again, with the shopper in mind, right? With the shopper in mind. Right? Yeah. So what else? What else did we learn?
I think that this topic that you have raised just now with regards to thinking a little bit outside of the categories, right? And also thinking, okay, so we know how the shopper is acting and how they're going to be using this product, right? But we also need to think outside of our categories to create certain solutions for them, right? So it's thinking a little bit cross category, understanding which product makes sense together, right? Because again, we can work, even if, you know, we're talking about retailer, okay? And I'm category manager responsible for let it be for a change cured meat, yeah, or deli, whatever we call this category, right? So this type of things. And Martin, is the category manager responsible for sauces. We can do a lot of different activities together as well, right? So again, going back to understanding how the shopper is actually using my product, what products are complementary for the shopper when they're thinking about my products, or to which categories my products are complementary, right? And try to create this solution environment in the store when it's not like I'm going to the store, I buy my sausages the same way I've always bought them, and I'm out of the store just with that package, but that we manage to create an environment where the shopper is actually interested and ready and sees more opportunities to buy different products, right? Or I think we have discussed things like fresh meat and fresh fish with spices and maybe, oil and wine and things like that, right? So that.
Yeah, and I think this is what is missing a lot, this creativity and solution search and win-win, like if you touch upon like fresh meat or something, that like categories where maybe the best price is important, and retailer may be struggling with the best price, they might find a supplier who is supplying something else, like, I don't know, like you said, sauces or wine or something, and they are ready to invest some marketing funds in order to be cross-merchandised with another category. And as they invest those funds, you can now decrease the price on the price-sensitive item and create even more bigger purchases, bigger basket purchases inside of your shop. So and that very often what we discovered very often, and it's I think it's both sides. It's neither the suppliers are coming up with those solutions a lot, neither the retailers are ready to hear those solutions or look for those solutions, because they very often look on their categories as their own silos, and the profitability inside of their silos is the profitability, and if it then they are not very rarely looking outside of their category for solutions and looking for who else could help me with that, right? And suppliers, as I said, they are also not very often coming up with I would be interested to finance your sales somewhere for my product to be cross-merchandised and cross-promoted in some other category outside of this one, right? As typical, we sometimes we talk about wine. Sometimes we see some bundles in other alcohol, like, I don't know, whiskey with some soft drink together bundled. But these are basically the very few examples that you see. Sometimes there is a dishwashing liquid bundled with a sponge or something like that, which is more like on-pack promotion rather than sponge supplier
cross-category thinking. Absolutely.
Sort of like that.
So I mean, there is a little bit of there should be a little bit of balance, I guess, because on one hand, I as a category manager would be the business owner, right, as we like to say. So I'm going to be in charge of my category, top line, bottom line. But then on the other hand, I also need to think of other categories that can help me grow my category, right? So I need also, on the other hand, to think cross-category to see how this entire environment can help me achieve the results that I want to achieve, right? So yes, you are the owner in your category, right? But you still need to think what else is important for the shopper and how to grow, how to use other categories to help grow your category.
Well, again, back to the strategic topic we started with, it's like when a category manager has the strategic approach and the person knows that, okay, I need to increase sales in this category, no matter what. I don't care so much about profitability. I just need to pump on value. Okay, volume. So that opens you other questions. So how can I do it? What do my shoppers need, or what do shoppers of my chain need to start shopping more in my category? Is it price? Is it, I don't know, bundle packs? Is it I don't know, funny offers and ruffles or something like that? What do they need? And then how can I get those things, right? So you get from this why into operational and tactical solutions. It's the same as with your family decisions when you say, okay, I would like to still pay my mortgage, and I still would like to pay for my kids, and I still would like to, I don't know, drive my car, but my salary is too low. Then you start looking, okay, what else could be my solutions, right? I find a new job, or I borrow money from my mom, or you start looking for solutions. Otherwise, you just, okay, let's cut some of the costs, right? So I'm not driving car anymore, right? Because that's my budget. So the same way, once you understand what you want to what do you want to achieve, you start finding more solutions and more possibilities. There was another discovery that was interesting. It also came from one of those jokes inside of the trainings. It was I think we also discovered something that is very well known, but I was not expecting this to be so strong still, that departments inside of retailers, probably the same way as departments inside of suppliers, they do not speak a lot. So very often things happen inside of a shop just because they used to happen like that forever. And somebody made that decision and somebody did something, and now we just obey to this. So again, this is well, let's not get into very deep into that this example, but we had this, okay, well, decision tree on wines in our country is people choose white and red, and then they go for is it dry, is it sweet, is it Italy, is it Spain, sort of like that. So logically, wine should be, I don't know, red on the left, white on the right, and then and then you
And then
sort them
deeper
somehow.
inside, right?
Then you go deeper in the subsegmentation, right? While the particular client has wines arranged based on countries, and they recognize themselves. Decision tree is based on color,
The color,
right?
yeah.
If I call it like that, right? And not on countries. Why do we do it based on countries? Because our marketing has created those shelf dividers and flags, and as they have divided shelf dividers according to countries,
We're
so
using
we
them.
put, that's what we do it, right? And yeah, on one side there is that there's this understanding. On the other side, there is no readiness
No
on the
action.
side of category manager to actually go and say, well, look, this is wrong. Let's do it somehow else. And of course, there is marketing who, I don't know, never asked or never was told that they need to arrange. And we also heard stories about, yeah, but we have this guy who is planning store layouts, and we have never seen that guy. But yeah, there is this person who does it, and then we just need to fit in whatever they planned, right? So that's also an interesting thing, that how much they are ready to, to
To take the
communicate. And
responsibility, right? To take the
again,
ownership. Yeah.
was the
of the category.
shopper again? This is a situation where it of course would call for a category captain or somebody from the supplier side saying, look, I can help you to rearrange this category. I know the category captains are not so fancy anymore, but still, if there is a leading company, they might say, well, I could help you to rearrange it and maybe finance the different layout. But if we get into some partnership and we and drive category and build it based on what clients and shoppers are looking for, not based on what flags your marketing has printed. Right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah. So we've been talking for a half an hour already. I think we have also some smaller tactical learnings, but maybe we can now summarize it with we agree that we will have our own top 3 sort of bullet points, and maybe we'll do those.
Right. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
But
Shall we do one by
unless
one?
you want to add something before the
No, I think that we have covered like the major sort of discoveries that we have made, and the major things that were held true across the clients, right? Because every client is different, every situation is going to be different, every company's needs are different. But then these things, they really kind of went like little small red flags through the entire year that we've been working together. So that's something that we really covered throughout we have seen throughout working with different clients. So my top one probably is always keep in mind what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so what is it that you're trying to achieve in your category? And only then think about the assortment, the placement, the pricing, and the promotion. Okay, And when you're thinking and when you're starting your assortment reviews or you are going into the negotiations with a supplier, pick out that post-it with your objectives and your goals and see, okay, how does this help me think? How does this help me achieve my goals? Okay, you're gonna run down to fewer choices, but much better choices. So you're not gonna have to meet with 10 suppliers. You're gonna figure that meeting the key 3 to achieve your objective is gonna be much more useful. So that's top 1 for me.
And it's both sides. I think it's also true for salespeople, that they also need to understand what they want to achieve in long run, right? Because in short run, yes, I want to sell this SKU because this is a new SKU and I get bonus for listing it, whatever, right? But does it help me to achieve my results in long run with this client? If this SKU will not help them in their business, will it help me, in long run, not just to achieve our particular month's goals, right? So one from, well, like very general, which is I have this trick. I have top 3 and plus I have 0, like the one which is before top 3.
Oh, okay.
Well, one that was very sad discovery. I'll kind of mention it before. I think that in the last 20 years, since I was 20 plus years since I was in category management as a salesperson in P&G, there has not much changed. I mean, visual change has happened, right? But still, it feels a bit like back in 1998 when I was working with ECR and shopper psychology in P&G, that it was very transactional. It was very much of like who pushes what, and that's why my first one is. Still, sales organizations, they still do not see even a reason to understand category management and how decisions are made inside of retail, and they push this very transactional approach. And that's very sad, and that's also a very difficult sort of sell to overcome their resistance. And when it happens, of course, this is like, wow, okay, now I see how can I use it. But it's like, yeah, they very often they feel like, okay, they're listening about something that is very strange for them and not really related to their business, even though this is exactly decision basis for their clients. So yeah, so that was a very sad discovery for me. Yeah, that was one from me.
Okay.
1.5.
1.5. Yeah, I'd say that the next thing for me is thinking of shopper. Okay, and think shopper at all the sort of possible moments, because, well, when we understand how the shopper is using the product and what products what their choices are and what they compare this particular product with, we can make, again, better decisions. We can make better solutions, create better solutions, and business-wise make more money, right? Be it, are we retailers or are we suppliers, right? I think we had this discussion. If a shopper need is, I need something for dinner, it can range from fresh meat and fresh fish to dumplings, right? To the delivery apps where they're going to deliver you whatever you order from a restaurant today. So the choices the shoppers have, they are quite big, and you got to be aware. We got to be aware of what these choices are, right? I know. I mean, it's something that is there, and we talk about shoppers. Oh, you have to think about shopper all the time, but I mean, there are so weird placements sometimes in the stores, and there are still failing products because they were, it's an innovation. We put it somewhere, nobody found it. 3 months or 6 months later, we have delisted it, right? So again, thinking shopper is something that has to be top of our list.
Yeah, not gonna go into that example, but I had this example. I said that there was a new product on the market, and my kid was saying, I would like to try it. And I went to several retail chains and I was not able to find it. And apparently the product was there, but it was completely different placement. And as a result, it was not selling. Maybe I was the only one not finding it, but apparently most people were not finding and buying it, so they delisted the product itself. And my kid never got to try it because I was probably not searching hard enough. But yeah, just an example. And yeah, it sounds like, but of course we always talk about shopper, but of course we always talk about strategy. No, I mean, trust us. we discovered so many you know, very tactical, very transactional decisions outside of whatever logic, working with the clients who are really kind of dominating market space. And so yeah,
And when
probably
you
you have
call
the
them
same
up on
mistakes in
that,
your companies.
when you
Huh?
call them up on that and say, hey, you're, you know, what I asked you for, I asked you to give me an objective for this, you know, category. What you're
Yeah,
giving me is a solution, tactical solution. And they're
yeah,
like, yeah, right. So they're like, people understand this. It's just that they are so used to it. The habit
yeah,
is so strong, just
yeah,
directly going, oh, are we going to do
yeah,
minus 20% or minus 50, whatever, or 1+1,
yeah,
right? That it's really difficult to combat. And therefore, it's
yeah.
very important to really, I don't know, have a post-it on your monitor or something.
Yeah. And then, of course, it's not always wrong, but when when on one side you have my strategy in this category is to build the gross profit or to build the profitability of a category. On the other side, you say I need to have price minus 20%. I mean, does it really help you to build the gross profitability of a category if you or at least sell the premium end of the category if you are pushing hard on the low priced items, right? Yeah, but we've always been doing it. Okay, well, so
Yeah.
what is the goal, right? So it, you know, yeah. So trust us. You probably make the same mistakes thinking that you are not making them. So the second one from me, and I'm still in realm of suppliers, and this inability of salespeople and key account managers in particular, inability to think about the category needs and shopper needs and where this product brings us and what is the decision making process for the buyer and what is the role of my category in this particular retailer, because there is difference between a corner shop or convenience store and a hypermarket, right? So the same category may have very different roles in those. So inability to think in these categories, like what are those strategic goals? It brings us them to very wrong argumentation in their sales process. So they might have a fantastic product, they may have a fantastic offer, but as they argumented wrongly, it never actually gets accepted because they are actually talking Chinese to people who are not understanding Chinese, right? So they're talking in a language that is not understandable and funny enough, I've heard it and I'm hearing it still. Salespeople who are coming with an argument, we need to list this SKU just to fight our competition, and retailers like, yeah. So what's my
Why
part
do
in
I
that?
care?
So why would I care? So I don't care. Am I selling red or green things, right? So if I'm not earning more from selling you than them, why would I list you, right? So this is not an argument in general. I need this just because to win competition. So again, if there will be more logic in the more understanding and more understanding of decision basis, they probably would be able to, not probably, they would definitely be
Find
able
a
to find
better,
better argumentation
yeah.
to sell whatever product they are selling. Right? Yeah, that's second for me.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah. The third one for me is, well, I put it internally, but probably we can externalize it. But the third one for me is talk to your peers. Okay, so it takes us back to the idea of cross-category understanding, right? But it's also that we're very much, we're working with our categories. We don't really have a contact with our colleagues, right? Or we as key account managers, we're working with our clients. We don't have access or, you know, too much contact with our colleagues from that side as well. Talking to each other is actually quite helpful, right? So first of all, if you have a challenge or you're not sure what to do and how to solve a particular challenge, your colleague might have been there and might have done that, right? So just brainstorming around could be helpful. That's number one. Number two, as we talked when it comes to the iced coffee, right? So just talking, or the sausages with ketchup or whatever the other example was, right? So again, you can create those bigger cross-category solutions based on what you know about your shopper. And that also takes communication with your colleagues, right? And the marketing department, right? So I need to achieve this goal. I go to the marketing and I say, hey guys, how can you help me get there? Okay, from your perspective, from your marketing perspective, right? So again, talk to your peers, talk to your fellow key account managers, your fellow category managers, your marketing department, your field teams, right? So just make sure you're getting out of your silo for a bit as well.
Yeah, well, it's it always, they say it's always good to, you know, go out of the office and go into the field and maybe just walk behind some shopper unnoticed and see how lost they sometimes get inside of your shop, and then what happens and how do they search for a particular product, and that also may give you some idea of, okay, probably something is, you know, could be done better. But my third one is, now I'm going to category manager side. As we've been talking, both sides see this interaction very transactional. So negotiations are mostly about win-lose, even though people think about win-win. And category managers not inviting salespeople in sort of strategic decisions or in realm of strategic understanding of a category. They are cutting out all the opportunities for salesperson to come up with better solutions, because they normally know what they can do on top of what they are already offering you. They normally know that, okay, we have some other type of promotion available, or I have some other fund who will be interested to spend for something if we can have that type of a deal. So they normally have their possibilities, but as they are never invited into this solution oriented discussion, and then very often that's where it ends. It ends like, can you give me 10%? No, I cannot, so I will delist you. So no, you will not delist me, and then you start all this power struggle. And again, simplified, of course, right? But that's very often where it goes. And then we have had clients who say, no, but I can do nothing because I cannot delist them. So is this the only tool that you have, delisting? I mean, is this the only thing? Well, sometimes it is, but very often it is not. So, and yeah, so inviting salespeople to think about strategy, talking about strategy is one of the I think missing links in that side as well.
Right. So
That was
talking about
third.
category, just let me, build up on that a little bit. So talking about the category strategy, what do we want to achieve there? But also thinking and talking through what we know about the shopper, right? Because two parties, they might have, different sources of information, different research, even though we're working in the same market, right? Different understanding of the trends, and having that discussion again, right? And even if it's heated discussions because we have different opinions, is very helpful, because then once you agree or once you reach certain point of agreement, it will be easier for you again to set where do we want to go, and hence how much and therefore what are the solutions probably.
Yeah, and it's both sides. It's like for category managers to be very clear, okay, in my category, I want to establish this, right? I want to establish me being an expert in the category. I establish that I have the widest choice, or I have the cheapest choice, or I have whatever, the biggest size or the smallest size, whatever, right? So I want to manifest something to my shopper. And the same as with the brand or with the supplier. I want to establish myself as an expert, as, I don't know, the best taste expert, or want to establish myself as the best value, or I want to establish myself as the cheapest choice, right? So what do you want to achieve, right? And then based on that, maybe we can find places where, okay, if you want to do that, this sort of is somewhat in line with my strategy as well, or at least in strategy in some of my subsegments, and why don't we work there? So you can reach your goals and I can reach my goals. But that requires discussing not just how big percent you can give me or how many days you can give me, but also how much money you can give me, but also like, okay, so what's the strategy, where we go, how can we reach that point together, right? And that is missing. That is completely missing, at least like I think 80% missing from what we've learned, suspected, but learned. But now it's missing in less companies than it was missing a year ago before we started that project, right? So there are some companies who are not missing that anymore, or at least not missing it that much, right? Yeah. So anything from you that we would like to add?
Yeah, I think these top 6 that you guys have gotten from both of us right now, and a little bit of a let's say thinking and sharing what are the discoveries here, you can get an idea, and you can also see and look at your teams and see, well, what's happening there, right? And would these people benefit from a workshop where category management and negotiations are integrated?
Yeah, so I would say, like I said several times, I think for sales organizations, this is like a must training to have the idea of how category management works, and of course my side in negotiations, how we can then blend in that process in our negotiations. And because this basically is, you are getting the tools through which your opponent, as you very often you see retailers as opponents, is looking through, right? So that's their decision making process. Even, and if you look at them as partners, which would be much more favorable way of looking at them, again, understanding how your partner is thinking, how you can talk to that person, is very, very helpful, right? So I think this is very, very important for those companies who are supplying retail. Would it be FMCG? Would it be food? Would it be alcohol? So if you work with retail, I think that definitely is helpful for you. The same way as for retailers, right? So not just how can we demand more, and what are the tricks on demanding more, but also how can we then intermingle these ideas and strategies, and how can we maybe we don't need even to fight so much, maybe we can have things even without that, or maybe we can have even better. So yeah, we're ready to build program for you. Doesn't have to be fixed, it can be, normally it is fine-tuned for you. As I said also in the beginning, I speak Latvian, Russian, and English. On top, Yana speaks also Spanish, which I cannot, but I can be very silent in Spanish. And yeah, so we can do programs at least in 3 languages, and we're not limited to any region. So especially when it comes to internet type of training. So yeah, ready to supply to you, and yeah, improve your sales and category management results, right? So just sign up, buy a lot. I don't know what are the best phrases.
Like share whatever they say, right?
Yeah, sure. And of course, yeah. One more thing that really would be interesting, if you would like to comment or share your examples in below this YouTube video, or maybe write us directly, then there will be contacts in our video, and you will be able to reach out to us and talk to us if you want to.
Totally.
Great. Thank you very much, and have a great day.